What is up, hooligans? Please take a second and hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button. Let me know how you're doing, and happy freedom. Alright, let me read through the chat really quick and we'll get her started. Any minute now, Hyena Harris is supposed to be stepping on stage, so I got that pulled up. So today we got Hyena Harris supposed to be on stage 11 minutes ago. Any minute she'll be stepping on stage. Then later on at 2:45 we have Old Man Walter supposed to go live, but I have somewhere I have to be. So we'll be doing a watch party at 7 p.m. Eastern time to cover that and anything else I add on to the schedule. Then we're going to cover a 6-minute video where former Twitter execs are to testify on the Hunter Biden laptop cover-up stuff. We're also going to cover Mayor Beetlejuice dancing in the street as Chicago burns down. We're going to cover a little bit of the protests that happened over the weekend for Tyre Nichols. Then we're going to cover an article titled No Tip, No Trip. DoorDashers show piles of orders sitting on restaurant counters. Says it's a result of non-tipping customers. I thought that was interesting because I delivered pizza for 6 years. I did 3 years at Hungry Howie's and 3 or 4 years at Pizza Hut, and I have lots to say about that, so I figured we would go ahead and check that out. Let me read through the chats really quick and we'll get her started. What's up, Sly Dog? What's up, Matthew? What's up, Toy Mafia? What's up, Adrian? Happy freedom. Let's see. What's up, High Plains Drifter? I seen you wrote me an email. I did not get back to my emails yet. I will do that later today. I promise. What's up, Tim? What's up, Rust? What's up, Sam? What's up, John Costello? Got somewhere to be. That's alright. What's up, Ghost? Happy Freedom Snooks. What's up, Cheeky Chops? What's up, Sleuthy TV? What's up, Robert? Nope. I guess it's showtime.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon.
Hola.
And I'm the President and CEO of the National Association for Latino Community Asset Builders, NALCAB. I am also the first Latina or Latino to be named Chair of the Department of Treasury's CDFI Fund Community Development Advisory Board, and only the second woman to serve in the role in its 27-year history. Thank you. The organization I lead, NALCAB, is a CDFI intermediary and a network of over 200 Latino-led and Latino-serving economic development nonprofits and community lenders, including the Latino Community Credit Union, LCCU, who you'll be hearing from today. All of our members are working to advance economic mobility for Latinos and other underinvested communities across the nation. I'm thrilled to be with you today to frame the exciting conversation you're about to hear that centers on the importance of small businesses and the community lenders that support them. Small businesses are the engine of the U.S. economy. Over 99% of firms with paid employees are small businesses. Of the new jobs created between 1995 and 2020, small businesses accounted for 62%. That's 12.7 million jobs, and almost twice the number of jobs created by their large counterparts. A 2019 report from the Small Business Administration found that small businesses accounted for 44% of U.S. economic activity overall. A similarly critical engine to the U.S. economy is our Hispanic and Latino population and Latino small businesses. Latino households hold critical engine to the U.S. consumer power. In 2019, we earned more than $1.2 trillion. This allowed us to pay $308.5 billion in taxes. After taxes, Latino households held more than $910 billion in spending power. Hispanic immigrants are significantly more likely to be entrepreneurs than the general U.S. population. More than 12% of all Hispanic immigrant workers worked for their own business, making them 30.6% more likely to have their own business than the overall U.S. population. There were more than 2.5 million Hispanic entrepreneurs in the United States in 2019. Standing at the ready to support Latino and other underserved entrepreneurs are community lenders. Community lenders like LCCU are entrenched in communities. They are filling an important gap by providing loans and financial services that traditional banks are sometimes not able or willing to provide. Community lenders are acutely aware of the specific challenges that exist in traditionally underinvested communities. They're on the ground providing small businesses with loans to start and grow, helping families purchase homes, and providing critical financial and credit services that ultimately improve the lives of the individuals and families in their neighborhoods. LCCU is a community development financial institution and minority depository institution, and a superstar in the community lending field. Just a few of their accomplishments include growing their operation from 1 to now 16 branches, serving over 120,000 members, providing 97% of their loans to Latinos and immigrants, serving 65% of their members that were previously unbanked, helping 35% of their customers to establish credit for the first time. They've built $900 million in assets, and they've made $1.6 billion in loans. Yes. The Biden-Harris administration has provided unprecedented support to community lenders and small businesses in our nation. I've never seen an administration that possesses such clarity on and commitment to providing access to capital to entrepreneurs. They have put their money where their mouth is and their walk where their talk is. For example, through the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, over 9 million loans were dispersed that helped small businesses stay afloat during the pandemic and preserved countless jobs. You will hear from our amazing SBA Administrator, Isabela Guzman, about new and exciting initiatives that she is leading to expand access to credit for the nation's small businesses. Under this administration, community lenders have received unprecedented investments by the CDFI Fund, including over $580 million in grants and $1.75 billion for the CDFI Equitable Recovery Program that funds CDFIs in expanding lending in communities that have significant unmet.
Do you think that the sign language guy wearing headphones is offensive?
Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI, which provides nearly $10 billion to states, the District of Columbia, territories, and tribal governments to expand access to capital for small businesses, build ecosystems of opportunity and entrepreneurship, and create new jobs and economic opportunity, especially in underserved communities. In addition, the administration also implemented the Emergency Capital Investment Program, or ECIP, which provides over $11 billion in capital directly to CDFIs that are depository institutions and to MDIs to provide loans, grants, and forbearance for small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and consumers, especially in low-income and underserved communities. LCCU is a recipient of ECIP funding, and we'll touch on that in the upcoming conversation that I'm so excited to introduce for you. So now, without further ado, I would like to introduce the participants of our conversation. First, our moderator, Jorge Buso, is the Community Empowerment and News Coordinator with Univision. Next, we have Vicky Garcia, who's the Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Latino Community Credit Union. And third, the United States Small Business Administrator, Isabela Guzman. Now, I would like to introduce Vice President Kamala Harris.
Prostitute.
After I talk about her for a couple minutes. Sorry, didn't mean to kill the buzz there.
You blew it.
Really quick, she is due words of praise, so just bear with me for a couple of minutes before the star attraction makes her way on the stage.
What, is this a communist country or something?
From her time in the
No,
Senate
this is
to her
America.
time in the administration, Vice President Harris has led efforts to support small businesses, including by increasing their access to capital. Vice President Harris has worked to secure both public and private investments for community leaders and small businesses, including minority, women, and rural small businesses. But I wanted to share one personal interaction that I had with Vice President Harris that speaks volumes to her commitment to community. At the height of the pandemic, I was leading a community lending organization that was supporting small businesses, and Vice President Harris reached out to me and other community lenders individually to speak with us and hear what was happening on the ground, and to brainstorm about how the administration could help. I assumed I'd have 5, maybe 10 minutes of her extremely valuable time, but no. Vice President Harris spent over 1 hour on the phone with me. She really listened and deeply cared. She asked important questions and was genuinely concerned by the answers. There is no dollar figure or innovative program that can substitute for that level of authenticity. We are lucky to have her fighting for us at the highest levels. So with that, I introduce to you our incredible Vice President, Kamala Harris.
What, is this a communist country or something? I thought this is America. Prostitute.
Look at her slowly staggering out. Is she hungover or still intoxicated? One if she's hungover, two if she's intoxicated. Put it in the chat.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. And, well, thank you for the leaders who here in bringing us together to discuss this important, very important topic. In my role in Univision, North Carolina, in news, I have a special focus on community empowerment and owning my small business and empowering. I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Madam Vice President, my first question is for you. Why is supporting small business a priority for you?
First of all, thank you, Jorge, for being here and moderating this conversation and for your voice. There is so much about this issue that is about making sure that people are seen and heard, and that their voices are respected, and that we have policies that promote the natural resources and capacity of community. And the kind of work that you do highlights the importance of that every day. So thank you. It's good to be with you and these incredible leaders. And Marla, thank you so very much for that introduction and all you do. Small businesses. So I love small businesses for so many reasons. You know, I grew up.
She looks like she hasn't gone to bed yet.
Raised my sister and me, Maya and me, but she would work long hours and long days and on weekends from time to time. And so we also had a second mother, someone that we consider a second mother, Mrs. Shelton, who lived 2 doors down from us growing up. And we lived in the apartment above Miss Shelton's nursery school. She was a small business owner. She had this nursery school, and she not only took care of the kids in the community, she took care of their parents. You know, there would invariably, I would notice her sitting in the corner talking with a mother who was going through challenges. She was a community leader.
Was she an activist? Did she rally the troops and march the streets?
And that was my first experience with, I never thought of her as a small business owner. She was Miss Shelton. She was our second mother. But that's the nature of who runs, starts, and owns our small business.
She's got a firm grip on that mic, don't she?
They're not only business leaders, they're
Other hand just naturally gets to cupping.
leaders. They're role models. They're the one who sponsors the local softball league. They're the one who sees the kids in the community growing up and will mentor them or give them feedback or advice. They're the ones who, you know, for us as adults, if you go in, whether it's a restaurant or a dry cleaner, and we'll say, how's your day? Why are you looking a little down today? Let me put some food in you that I know you like to eat. This is who our small businesses are. And so that's how we feel about them, how we experience them. And small businesses employ half of America's workforce, either as the owner of or as an employee of. Small businesses are contributing to the economic health of our nation in a profound way. We are here with an emphasis today to talk about Latino, Latina run and own small businesses. Well, they represent at least 5 million businesses in the United States and contribute on an annual basis, the estimates are $800 billion a year. So when I think of small businesses, I think of it in 2 ways predominantly, about what we must do to support small businesses.
And then you worry about skin color.
To support small business owners. And that means taking into account the incredible work that is being done by so many of the leaders who are here, and of course our administrator, Guzman, around what we should do to address the barriers that can very much prohibit that person that we just talked about from actually contributing, because there might be language barriers. There are barriers in terms of financial literacy. There are barriers in terms of just not knowing where to go and how to apply for loans and access to capital. Things that have nothing to do with the capacity of that individual and nothing to do with their spirit of innovation and ambition, which is also something I love about our small business owners, because they believe and they see and they work hard around the clock. That is not a 9-to-5 job by any stretch. And so those are some of the reasons.
It's more than a job, yeah, absolutely.
Love them so much, you ruined them. Had them closed down 2 years ago. Wouldn't even let them go to work. Love them so much.
With the economy.
I'm gonna grab some coffee. Just one sec.
Sorry, in small business, but maybe have reservations. You know, is now a good time for a start business?
Yes. Yeah. Now is a good time. Why? Well, first of all, I'm very proud to be a part of some of the work that has led us to this moment, where when I was in the Senate, before I became vice president, before we were elected, President Joe Biden and myself, when I was in the Senate, we, and together with some others, got 12.
I like that they keep trying to convince us.
To put into the CDFIs, the Community Development Financial Institutions, which we all know as community banks. And so the work that we have been doing over the last couple of years has been to maximize the capacity of that additional funding to increase access to capital. Access to capital, no small matter. I have met, and Marla, we talked about this, so many small business owners, and I've traveled around the country meeting with small business owners, who shared with me stories about how when they first wanted to get a loan, also known as access to capital, they'd go to a bank, usually the traditional bank, and almost to a one they said, and I heard this word being used to describe me that I'd never heard before. And I would ask, what word is that? And they were told that they are unbankable. Unbankable. And so what ended up happening, though, and most of those stories that I've had the benefit of hearing, had a good ending, because what they then realized is there are other places to go, such as community banks, which are in the community, run by members of the community. They understand the capacity of the community. They understand the culture of the community, the mores of the community, what the community wants for itself. And then they look at the whole human being in terms of that small business owner, and they can see them. So they know what you want to sell.
Why do they have a sign language interpreter? She's doing all the hand signals herself.
A certain style of food, or just cultural, or just what it needs.
Wiener's not food, Hyena Harris. Thank you so much, Genius by Birth, for continuing the membership program for 24 months. You're officially a hooligan. Now I appreciate you, thank you. And thank you so much, Big Fella, for that $5 donation. Now I appreciate you, thank you.
Right? These are things you learn if someone takes the time to teach you, because they know. That's what community banks do. They then help them understand, this is how you need to think about your capital. This is how you need to think about.
This is how you need to think. That's enough. I don't need to hear any more after that.
They sit down and they take the time, because they understand the value of the person that's sitting across that desk in terms of who they are in the community and what they can contribute to the community. So we've put more money into the CDFIs. You look at it, in the last 2 years, we have, as an administration and leaders who are present at this moment in time, and I know the governor is here, Roy Cooper, I want to thank him always. We have, over the last 2 years, grown and started as a country more small businesses in the last 2 years than any other 2 years in the history of the country. That's the environment. We have some of the lowest unemployment rates. We are doing the work that is about collaborating around the small businesses that will need to do the work that will be the result of all the trillions of dollars we're putting into the infrastructure of our country, including the almost $1 trillion that we're going to be putting into a whole new economy that is called a clean energy economy, right? This money is about to hit the streets. And so what we know as an administration is we want to make sure the folks in the community are going to be able to take those jobs.
I like how the clapping just abruptly stopped. Thank you so much, Wild Turkey, for continuing the membership program for 14 months. You're officially a hooligan. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Happening right now. Right now, we are looking at, the administrator shared with me, I'll never forget one of the sessions that we had together, that was it over 75% of small businesses that are manufacturing, right? Because a lot of this is about also our administration's perspective that we need to have domestic manufacturing, okay? Well, what the administrator shared with me, it was an aha moment for me, Isabella, was that 75% of manufacturing businesses in America have 20 or fewer employees. Right? So think about this. We're about to put all of these resources into building back up the infrastructure of America, roads and bridges. That's about work that ranges from electricians and engineers to construction workers. Well, the other number that I have tells me that I think it's over 35% of construction workers in America are Latino. Right?
Right.
So I think about that, yes, as in terms of the worker and that person's quality of life and are they getting paid their value and all of that. But I also think about it in the context of a small business, right? Including manufacturing and what that requires in terms of who the workers are and what their familiarity is with what we need to do to build back up the infrastructure. And then coupling all that with a absolute promise that we have made as an administration, which we are seeing through, that over the next now 4 years, we will increase federal contracts by 50% for minority-owned businesses. So
She's nodding. She's like, you believe me, don't you?
So when you couple these approaches, which is a comprehensive approach, we're going to put the resources into building back up. We understand who small businesses are. We understand who manufacturing businesses are. We understand the importance of lifting up community. We understand the importance of federal contracting, because that's a whole lot of dough that goes into those contracts, and paying attention to who's getting those contracts. It's really very important. And we think that, therefore, this is a good time.
Yeah, thank you. The time is now. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Well, and now I want to turn to Vicky Garcia, and who helps the Latino Community Credit Union here in Raleigh. And Vicky, can you tell us what are community lenders and why they are important to Hispanic-owned small business?
Buenas tardes. Thank you. First, I want to thank you, Madam President, for being here and putting a spotlight in community lenders. That's the fancy name for credit unions or banks that care about the community. Credit unions in particular, and the Latino Credit Union, was founded by Latinos for Latinos and is actually administered by Latinos. So it is an example on how the grassroots movements in North Carolina have created something that can put the economic opportunity there for Latinos in North Carolina. I would like to tell the story of how community organizations like ours can help Latinos with the story of one member. His name is Roberto. He came from Mexico. And one of the characteristics of Latinos in North Carolina, we are about 10% of the population here, we're new to the state. This is a state that had received Latinos between the 1990s and the early 2000s. And we are starting to scratch the surface and get noticed. because we are creating these small businesses. So Roberto came to the credit union and asked to open an account. Why? Because he just got robbed down the street after cashing his check. So the story starts not only with the idea of having a small business, but also protecting your assets and your family. So the credit union takes care of that member from the very beginning. So opening an account, doing financial counseling, as you were saying, providing financial education, and also helping them move through the continuum of what is a financial history for an individual. So Roberto had his painting business. He had a van and 5 or 6 employees, and he was painting houses, across the region. And he needed a loan for his working capital. He got granted a big contract, and he needed the money for that. So we focus on those micro entrepreneurs that need help to get those small loans. And what's the advantage of that is that we speak his language. Yeah. We speak Spanish, we understand them, and we brought him and guide him through the continuum. But the beautiful thing about that is that Latinos have come to North Carolina and they want to buy houses as well. Yeah. They want to contribute and be members of the community. So we created a mortgage product for all the Latinos that are wanting to buy a house and stay here and participate in the community in North Carolina. 40% of our mortgages are done to individuals who own their own business and have 4 or 5 employees working for them. And the beauty of that is that they transmit that information to their 4 or 5 employees. And those are the ones that come after and apply for those mortgages. So we're not only creating value through the initial loan, the small business loan, but we are also helping them to stay, create roots, and participate and contribute to the community in general. So one of the things that we are very proud of is that we received through the ECIP program $99 million from the administration. And for us, is the catapult to be able to provide loans for the members in the community. What that money is going to do, we're going to be able to provide 1 million loans in the life of this loan that the administration has given us, and it's going to provide $30 billion in loans that we can provide to the community. So I don't want to be the best kept secret. Please tell everyone that you can go to the credit union, ask for a loan, get through the financial education program, and build your assets with us. And in this beautiful country that I now call home. I am from Colombia originally, but American, and been here for 20 years, and I cannot see myself doing something better. This is the best road I have taken. Thank you.
Excellent, Vicky. Wow. I'm from Mexico. I became an American citizen 2 years ago. Yeah. It's a great honor to be part of this company.
Dang, and he's already famous and on stage? I don't know. I guess I'm not doing it right.
Banks and credit unions are, Madam Vice President, can you tell us the administration is doing for support the community banks and credit unions and for a small business?
Well, Vicky just gave an example, almost $100 million, because and this is just one of over 150 where community banks.
Hold the mic to your face. Someone slap it out of her hand.
As you have so beautifully said with that story, the 1 million loans will have a profound exponential impact on the economic health and well-being of the community. And you said it so beautifully, Vicki. I think that when we think about what we support by supporting this kind of approach is community, on a number of levels, both in terms of the contribution and the feeling and the richness of the community, because of the well-being also of the community members. But also, let's be clear, all of these small businesses are paying taxes, right? And so it's also about the tax base of the community, right? In many places in our country, it is that tax base that's going to have everything to do with the resources that go into things like public schools, that go into other community improvements. So understand that when we're talking about the benefit here, it is, yes, the owner, yes, their employees, yes, maybe their family members who then learn that these mortgages are available, but it is that. But on the point also about home ownership, that's about intergenerational wealth. Intergenerational wealth, because think about it. We all know this, right? You own a home, you build up capital. So that when your daughter comes and says, I want to go to such and such college, you might say to her, sweetheart, don't take out a student loan.
You know that's what BLM says, right? That's where the racism comes from, is
and you don't have to take out those loans.
because of generational wealth.
Start a small business. Honey, you don't need to,
Somehow I got left out of that.
Intergenerational wealth. And we know for communities of color in particular, but for all Americans, the greatest source of intergenerational wealth is home ownership. So, and that's another thing that when we think about the community banks, it's a huge piece of it. We think of small businesses, but it includes a big piece of business of community banks is helping with home ownership and mortgages. But intergenerational, it's about capacity, it's about taxes, it's about the tax base, and then it's about jobs. Because again, this is about job creation. And for all of those reasons, I think this is critically important, and this is the work then that our administration is doing, in addition to the work we are doing around the federal contracts piece that we just mentioned, in addition to also understanding that our agenda here includes understanding the nuances. So I'll go back, for example, to construction work and what we're doing around building back up infrastructure. The difference between where we are now and where we could be with this approach, our collective approach, is helping that individual who is a construction worker go from being a subcontractor to a prime contractor. That's a very big deal in terms of what that means, in terms of allowing that individual, that woman, that man, that person to be able to grow their business and have, again, the residual impact for the community. So those are some approaches. And then, Administrator, you should speak. You're the one who's doing the hard work through the SBA of implementing a lot of this. How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, well, it was a great honor to be able to join you here, because this is all I think about with your direction. I think that, communicating how committed the Biden-Harris administration is to making sure that the economy works for everyone and using, that's right. And really using small business and entrepreneurship as that pathway to the American dream is really critical. I come from a small business family. I've started my own small businesses, and I've realized opportunity through the American dream. And what Vice President Harris is so committed to is making sure that we can help businesses achieve success outcomes by leveraging federal programs. And the SBA is all about that American dream and making businesses more successful by giving them the funding that they need to start their business, or making sure that they have the networks and the advice and everything in their toolkit to be able to day by day grow their business and take advantage of the opportunities that the Biden-Harris administration is investing in on their behalf. And then, of course, making sure that we are on the ground. SBA, as you all know, is dispersed around the country with district offices and funding resource partners, many of them here today as well, that help businesses.
I don't know why they're scared to talk into the microphone. I got the volume all jacked up.
Plan up, or maybe that's finding out how to export their product abroad or get onto digital e-commerce and leverage these great opportunities. And so what we're really committed to at the SBA is ensuring that the most critical success factor, being able to access capital to grow, is accessible to all. And that's why I'm so glad that Vicki has joined us in the work that they're doing in the community to make sure that all communities are financially ready and able to level up into entrepreneurship. With the SBA's core resources, I want to spend a little bit of time on capital because that's the topic we're really trying to lean into in the Biden-Harris administration. And from day one, and even before that, with Vice President's leadership in the Senate, we have committed to making sure that we could ensure that the smallest of the small businesses could access capital. SBA, of course, has been able to disperse relief during the pandemic to help save millions of small businesses. And in the president's first year, $450 billion was dispersed around the country in relief, and we got it into the hands of those left out of previous rounds, into the hands of the smallest of the small businesses with success. And that was through community, through organizations like many of you who are running those organizations today here in the room with us, in language, culturally competent organizations who could help us teach people how to access these incredible relief offerings. And what we're doing now to implement against this vision is making those changes across our core programs. Besides our COVID relief programs, SBA also disperses $40 to $50 billion a year into small businesses for working capital, lines of credit, asset purchases to buy your building or to buy equipment. All the tools and resources you need in the capital markets to grow your business. And so with the changes that we're making to expand our footprint with more lenders, as well as simplifying our products so that it's easier to meet you where you are and everywhere that you are and serve you with a product that is accessible to you. Those changes are really critical to making sure that small businesses can get the startup capital or the growth capital that they need to be a part of those historic investments. And right now, small businesses around the state are building bridges and helping us, implement the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and creating jobs in the process. And the SBA is here to help them do just that.
Wow. Thank you, Administrator Guzman. Well, it's very clear that the supporting the small business. And, well, one final question, Madam Vice President. What resources can you share today for those who want to start a small business?
There's a lot, and I actually am going to turn it back to the administrator, because one of the things I think that it'd be really helpful for us to share with the community and opinion leaders here as they use their bully pulpit, is to help people understand, like, how do they access it? And so let's say I've got an idea, and by the way, when we talk about our small businesses, not only is it intergenerational, but also we've got entrepreneurs in their teens and 20s to families who have been doing this for generations, and our seniors. And so it's really, that's also what's also exciting about our small businesses and who they are, because it spans the generations in addition to being intergenerational. But let's talk about, so I have an idea. Let's say I'm, whatever the...
She just pulled an old man Walter.
Whatever I am. And and I've got an idea, and I'm prepared to work hard. It's the only way I know how to work. But I need access to capital. So I know that there's something out there about community banks.
It's the only way she knows how to work, but you know the kind of job she gets
If we're sitting down
or gives.
You're my neighbor telling me what to do. What would you tell me? What do I do?
Well, I think that what we've invested so heavily in the Biden-Harris administration, as you know, is leveling up our networks. You have to start with someone you trust, that local voice. And through the American Rescue Plan, the Biden-Harris administration has...
If you don't believe she works hard, just look at that jawline.
We now have 1,600 centers around the country, and here in North Carolina, every type of organization to help you get the skills you need, fill that toolkit with all the resources you need to run your business day to day. So we have SCORE chapters. Those are expert mentors who've done business themselves.
How do I meet them?
And you can go through SBA.gov and connect to local resources. SBA.gov/get local assistance. And I know we're here today in Forest, my district team, but you can connect to a SCORE mentor directly, as well as a small business technology development center. You have several of them in the state, and women's business center. So it's basically about building a center that is welcoming to you, and we have funded community navigators here throughout the state to support small businesses. And so I think it's critical that you start and recognize that SBA can be a part of your team.
So do I go on, so if I go on to SBA.com, to SBA.gov, Okay, and then where do I go? Like, tell me where to go.
Then there's a feed for community navigators as well as get local assistance. And that's how you connect locally with our districts. It's really important that you get a live voice on the other end of that phone
So
call.
I'll actually talk to somebody?
You'll be able to talk to somebody.
Oh, I like talking to people.
And let me ask one question. Is it in Spanish as well?
We have advisors who can work with you in 27 different languages.
Oh, great. Great.
We've invested heavily in making sure that our resource partners, those small business development centers, the women's business centers, the veterans business outreach centers, the community navigators, and our districts have the cultural and language competency to be able to deliver. And for the first time ever in the Biden-Harris administration, the SBA actually put one of its COVID relief resources in 2 languages, in Spanish and English. So natively you could go through the platform and not have to translate it alongside. And so that's, we really are committed to making sure that we reach those smallest of the small with the best resources available in federal government.
Wow, great. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Thank you, Administrator Guzman. Same question for you, Vicky. And what resources can you share today for those who want to start a small business?
So I would say go to a credit union, go to the Latino credit union, and open an account with us. Those deposits are the ones who get recycled in the system. Mm-hmm. Those are the funds that we can lend to those small business. So the investment that the administration did to the credit union is $99 million. That amount of money could be multiplied by us being able to get $700 million in deposits. And that is all of you here, plus all the members of the credit union, and more importantly, organizations that care about small business and the mission that we have as a community lender. So those private funds on big companies, health organizations, can put their deposits with the credit union so we can lend them out to those who need the money the most. So what we had available for you is the ability to open an account, get financial education, and get ready when you are. I know that it can be daunting when you go and, oh, I have an idea, but I don't know who to talk to. And we, as a community lender, we are there for you. And we understand the route that you have taken, and we understand that you need support from an organization that trusts that you can make it. We have one of the best repayment numbers in the loans that we do.
I need to wrap this up. We got other stuff to cover today.
Our members pay back the loans.
Yeah.
So we're not a risky business. Actually, we're a very good one.
Yeah. Right.
That's convincing.
Just put your deposits where your heart is, and that will make you a best citizen. And you indirectly will be helping every small business owner that could ask for a loan at the credit.
Put your deposits where your heart is. Didn't sell me on that. Need some work.
Recently, we last year started what we've called the Economic Opportunity Coalition. And so we've been spending time with private sector funders. And we now have some private equity investment going into the community bank. So it's not only the federal government money, but now we've got, I think it was B of A and Wells Fargo agreed to put $1 billion into what we're doing around community banks. We've got Google and all these others who have agreed that it is a good bet. It is very low risk when even private investors are thinking about the return on their investment to invest in community banks, which invest directly in the community.
Look at the way they attentively listen to her, trying to figure out what is she talking about.
I think they also realize, one, that it is in the best interest of the economic strength and well-being of all of society to invest in these communities, but they also understand that the community banks just do it better in so many ways because they understand the community, and everything that you've described happens there in a way that it may not happen with a big bank. Yeah.
Well, this has been incredible conversation, and I learned a lot, and I hope you too. And well, I try to open my own business, my small business too. So it's very, very useful, this information for me. Thank you, Vicky, Mrs. Garcia. Thank you, Administrator Guzman. Well, Madam Vice President, any closing comments?
Well, I just want to thank everyone here. We've asked this group of leaders to come together this afternoon because you really are leaders on the ground. And it was very important for us to be here with you to thank you, because the work we do generated out of...
To thank you for making accounts at a bank where they're going to collect interest off you as long as they can and even bankrupt you.
And that's where you all come into play. There are a number of leaders at every level. I also want to mention...
Nothing like being thanked by the bank.
Congresswoman Ross and Congressman Nichols, and I want to thank you all for the work that you have done. There is, at every level, leadership that is important about this work, and we cannot do it without all of you here. So let's keep it going. We have momentum. And the momentum is on our side. And so let's take advantage of this, knowing that time is a-wasting. And
should be the title of this video.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. The time is now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Thank you, Administrator Guzman. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for this great conversation. Thank you so much.
She had to finish her drink after that.
Prostitute.
She's got a little sway to her. Feels like she's got those sea legs. All right, hooligans, moving forward. So next we're going to be covering a 6-minute video. It's just a little over 6 minutes. It's a Fox News video talking about former Twitter execs to testify on Hunter Biden's laptop cover-up. We're going to get that started. Drop some coffees or ones in the chat if you're ready to go and get this set up. M. She's got that robot walk. She's got something. I don't know. Hyena Harris. Care Killer, you're killing me over here on Odyssey. You're cracking me up. Karen, you think they got paid clappers? I've never heard of a phrase like that, but that's what it sounded like to me. Either that or it was recording. One or the other. Alright, I'm seeing the ones and the coffees in the chat. Let's get her started. Thank you so much, Diane, for that $4 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Notebooks found in the FBI search of President Biden's Wilmington home may have referenced classified information. Those notebooks, which Biden used during his time as vice president, are said to have information on his family affairs, diplomatic engagements during the Obama administration.
Kentucky Congressman James Comer is the House Oversight Committee chairman. He joins us now. How are you doing this morning? Thanks for getting up with us.
Good morning.
So, there's a lot of people who are saying there was maybe some handwritten scratch notes in these notebooks that were found in Biden's house in Delaware. But then there was that NBC, I believe it was an NBC report saying that, he's not moving these notebooks around. Don't you think that's even more concerning? Because yet again, it's just proving the point that who knows who had access to these documents?
Yeah, who knows? I think it's a bigger concern that Joe Biden didn't know he had the documents, and he has no idea how the documents got from point A to point B to point C. That's what should concern every American. We're bringing in the National Archives tomorrow for a transcribed interview. We're going to ask all of these questions, and hopefully we'll have some answers for the American people very soon.
Is it normal for VPs to take their notebooks with them when they leave office?
No, nothing that Joe Biden's done with respect to mishandling these classified documents is normal. Take into consideration that he's also being investigated for influence peddling with our adversaries around the world. And it's even more concerning. Look, more information comes out every day where his son, especially, as well as his two brothers, have had shady business dealings with our adversaries around the world. And part of what they would do when they would make a pitch to these shady characters in these foreign countries is prove to them that they actually had direct access to their brother and that they had direct access to people at the highest levels of our federal government. So, well, when we learned that Joe Biden had classified documents strode all over the place and that Hunter Biden especially lived in his house where he had those classified documents, we became extra concerned. And that's why this investigation is of the utmost importance for the United States Congress as well as the American people.
You know, that gets us to our next topic. Several former Twitter executives are set to testify before the House Oversight Committee next week on big tech's role in censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. A lot of people, there's a narrative out there saying, you know, we don't care about Hunter Biden's laptop. How are you going to switch that notion over to being like, no, this isn't just exactly about Hunter Biden. This is about the sitting president.
Yeah, this is an investigation of Joe Biden. The laptop happens to contain a significant amount of evidence that would not only implicate the Biden family in influence peddling, but it would also implicate the President of the United States. We want to have this hearing to begin with to show the American people what evidence is on the laptop. We want to show the American people that the federal government tried to suppress this story, that the FBI, according to the Twitter files, and these three former Twitter employees are going to have an opportunity to explain exactly what happened.
I'm not sure I want to see the terrible things on the laptop. Just telling me would be good enough. I don't want to see it.
Now, I think it's no secret, we've heard this from Elon Musk, that the overwhelming majority of Twitter employees, like all big tech employees, are overwhelmingly liberal, therefore they're biased. But my problem isn't as much with big tech as it is with the federal government. You know, why was the federal government trying to suppress this story? And we want to go into the details of the laptop. But we've heard CBS, they came out and said that they did a forensic audit and that the contents on the laptop are authentic. We know that several other networks like CNN are finally getting on board, expressing concern about what's on the laptop. So we're starting from the very beginning.
As they flip through the pictures, you can see like the different versions of Old Man Walter.
The government tried to cover this up from day one. Then we're going to
just watch his ears.
Some of the associates of the Biden family influence peddling schemes, and we'll keep going to where we bring in people from the government to see what role exactly the president played in this influence peddling.
Congressman, like you mentioned, these are three former executives. Were these three responsible for the decision to ultimately ban the Hunter story from Twitter?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. And I think the American people should be very concerned about what happened there. And I think the American people will be paying attention. I think there's going to be a lot of media interest in this committee hearing. And this is going to give those three Twitter employees an opportunity to explain themselves. We know the laptop is legitimate. We know the laptop has very damaging evidence for several members of the Biden family, including the President of the United States. So we want to know why they took such extreme measures to ban the New York Post, the fourth largest newspaper in the United States, which I think everyone would agree has done a tremendous job reporting and investigating about this scandal from day one. We want to know what process the federal government took in coordinating with Twitter, and we also will learn later on what process they played in having Facebook and other social media platforms suppress this story. I think we're going to see there are a lot of stories that the federal government, and I'm talking about the FBI and DOJ, played in suppressing conservative speech. But this investigation that the House Oversight Committee is leading is based solely on the Biden family influence peddling.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward, obviously, all of us are looking forward to seeing what comes out of all of this. Congressman James Comer, thanks for getting up early with us on a Monday morning. We appreciate it.
I imagine a whole lot of nothing will come of it, but, you know, I'm always willing to be surprised. All right, hooligans, we're going to move forward, kind of moving quickly here. I got some stuff I got to do, and time is running short. So next, we're going to be covering a video that's titled Tone Deaf Lori Lightfoot Ripped for Dancing in the Street as Crime Surges. This video is just under 3 minutes long. Just a moment while I pull it up.
Chicago Mayor.
I can't remember everyone that suggested the ad blocker, but it really worked. No, I don't know. It's probably not good if everybody uses it, right? How am I going to get that ad money? But either way, now this YouTube videos are moving smoother than the brain on Beetlejuice. So let's get this started, hooligans.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot taking to the streets of Chicago, not to fight her city's surging crime, but to dance for a Lunar New Year celebration. She was surrounded by shut-down businesses that have fled over record.
She's over here making TikTok videos. That must be why Chicago's in the condition it's in.
Hey. Show you here, Chicago.
We are.
Today versus this time last year, robbery is up 26%, burglary 11%, theft up 24%. But this one really got me. Motor vehicle theft up 165%. So, I mean, I know that mayors have a lot of roles, right? And there's a lot of things going on in a city.
Yeah.
Do you criticize her for this?
Yeah, because it looks tone deaf. But the reason people have an issue with it is because the dance move she's been doing is the hustle. Like, look at the numbers on Chicago, not just in the terms of crime, but in the terms of businesses. Everything downtown is vacant. You know, there's a direct correlation between high rates of violent crime and low rates of economic opportunity.
Is that an insurrection?
Feel safe, you know, spending money in Chicago is also driving up the crime numbers in turn, and she has looked indifferent. Every time you see her on TV, she's fighting something besides the real issue. Like, if you cycle back through her mayoral term, okay, you remember the first time they pressed her on the murder rate spiking, she was like, oh, that's a racist smear. From now on, I'll only take questions from journalists of color. But people weren't complaining about the murder rate because she was black. They were complaining because black people were getting killed in record numbers. And she's always demonstrated this indifference. And that's the biggest concern. Like, you can get out there and dance, but it's going to look tone deaf because under Lori Lightfoot, Chicago's #1 business chain is a place called Space for Rent. Everyone's leaving.
It just sort of dismisses the reality that is a tough life for anybody who's chosen to stay in that city. We know so many have fled.
It's bad.
To your point about the vacancy.
Trying to figure out how to put my thoughts into words.
We're talking the Mag Mile, the Magnificent Mile, where you would go for your special day of shopping, you know, for...
She's almost as embarrassing as Hyena Harris. Almost.
...on the Mag Mile are nearly 30%.
Yeah.
While crime is spiking. These storefronts are empty. The retailers have fled the city.
Yeah, because people don't feel safe, and that's the biggest problem.
Ms. Jamie, don't say Beetlejuice 3 times or else she'll end up in your living room. No, I don't need those problems.
Third store in Chicago, you've got a vacancy, and if they won't spend money downtown, which is where there's traditionally a heavier population and a heavier police presence, just imagine how this has spiraled out into the outer reaches of Chicago. So the only thing I can add to this video is it's nice to see people complaining about someone's dancing besides mine, but I still don't like this.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
Okay, just start screaming at me. That's how I like it. I know Beetlejuice's dancing got you guys all hot and bothered. Don't you worry, we're moving forward. Alright, so now we're going to skim through this video, just showing a couple of the sights and scenes that we didn't cover over the weekend from the Tyre Nichols protest stuff that happened. I'm sure everyone knows all about that. A young man was brutally beaten by 5 officers, or at least 5 officers are being charged from what I understand. He was beaten until he died. They were literally restraining him and taking turns doing terrible things until he died. I mean, he literally did not survive it. Now, everybody was non-white that was involved, but it did, you know, there was no shortage of protesters. Everybody was still screaming BLM and, you know, get rid of the police and stuff like that, which I think that those people should definitely, absolutely be held accountable for the terrible things they did. They deserve the whole, you know, they deserve to be thrown under the jail, in my opinion. But I don't think all officers should be banned. I don't think that makes sense. In a lot of the situations that we've seen, the same people who are saying to abolish the police are the same ones who are getting arrested and committing crime and doing things like that. It's not a skin color issue. It's like it's a mindset issue, in my opinion. You see common ground between neighborhoods, behavior, body language, thought process, and, you know, the reason that criminals aren't being shot by just random Americans is because we have police. You commit a crime, an officer shows up, you do whatever you do other than listen to the orders given to you, you get shot and killed. But if we didn't have police officers and you broke into my house and tried to hurt my kid or hurt me or steal my food or any of that stuff, you'd be getting shot by me, right? And I'm not a cop, not a bad guy, but I'm not going to let you step all over me. Of course, they'd be in the streets screaming about that too. And that's the thing. It's a mentality issue going on. We don't need to abolish police. And the police department has come out and said that they just loosened their hiring guide and restrictions and all of that stuff. They loosened it because they thought it was too strict. And all of those officers made it in, just flew under the line, which are pretty much criminals themselves. And so the police department's already come out and said that was their bad. They didn't do what they should have did when they hired those people. And, you know, look at the fruits of their labor. Young guy was killed because of it. And I don't think you have to do something terrible to deserve something like that. I don't know if you guys seen the video, but it was so bad I couldn't even put it on here. When I get a hold of it, I will be putting it on Odyssey and Rumble because I shouldn't have any issues with that being shown there. Yeah, so if there's more protests, we will cover them. I was planning on covering them over this last weekend, but one, we covered a lot of stuff. I had the whole day booked. I was burned out. And then I started seeing some really disappointing stuff from Hooligans in Gilded and in other people's live chat. And seeing that stuff, I don't know if it's giving me PTSD from all the riots and stuff we've covered, but I wasn't really eager to run a live to house hate. And when I see people posting gorilla emojis and other things insinuating racist stuff, I was like, you know, I really don't want to go live after I've already been live all day and allow people to come in and just say hateful things. Say, oh, he deserved it and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. I don't think he did deserve it. I know he resisted and blah, 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 blah. But if you watch the video of what happened, you got to be a terrible person in order to be on the same grounds to justify that kind of beating he got. And so I didn't want to house hate, right? My heart couldn't take it. I'm sorry that I crapped the bed, right? I blew it. I didn't go live over the weekend. Everybody was all mad. I don't care. I didn't want to house hate. My mental state could not handle that. But I recharged my batteries. Everything's all good. I said my piece in the Gilded yesterday or last night. And if there is more protests, we will cover it. You know, it is what it is. I'm still not going to house hate. I see you talking crazy, you're getting banned. If it's too spicy, it won't be on YouTube because you're not supposed to show group violence on YouTube, which is a part of the community guidelines. And I know their guidelines are silly, but if you made rules and people broke them, you'd be all mad. If you see a criminal break the law, you're like, well, they deserve it. But at the same time, you want channels to break the rules and then get banned and you don't care. So that's, you know, hypocrisy. And I'm not rolling with that anymore. So I've provided free speech platforms, Odyssey, Rumble, and jeffmaclive.com. If things are too spicy or against community guidelines on YouTube, you will have to leave this communist platform to go to the free places that I've provided for you. And that's just that. So we're going to move forward. We're going to scan through this video because I'm going to try not to get any strikes or anything like that. But I do want to kind of allow people to see what happened over the weekend that we didn't cover. Heaven Bag, yeah, and I'm sure that Fox and NBC, and I'm not going to sit here and debate all this, but I'm sure big companies did show it, just like RSBN shows Trump. I don't have a team of lawyers to stand up for me, and I don't know how many strikes I have to catch before you guys start believing me. I mean, we almost went down permanently just for showing Trump. I caught 3 weeks of strikes. That's a whole month with no income. I mean, how much crap do I got to catch before you guys believe me? I've literally shown you the community guidelines right off the page during lives time and time again. I'm not in the business of convincing you guys anymore. I just won't be on this platform when we're showing spicy stuff, and you can follow or you can not. It's, you know, it is what it is, but I can't stick my neck out there anymore. It's stupid. We have better platforms to show the good stuff. If you don't want to go there, then hey, that's on you. I like to eat steak. You like to eat McDonald's. Good for you. I'm not going to try and convince you anymore. So let's move forward, hooligans. So I believe this is in New York. Pretty much New York and, yeah, that's New York. New York and LA were marching and mad. Nothing too crazy happened. Otherwise I would have just said whatever and we would have went live. But there was mad people in the streets, absolutely. As far as live stream goes, this is like one of the more busier ones that were captured. I've seen a lot of videos of Antifa in LA. Holy moly. Thank you so much, big fella, for that very generous donation. My goodness, thank you so much. I can't remember what I was saying. I did see footage in LA where Antifa hit the streets and they were damaging properties, but as far as I know, none of that was actually captured live. It was captured on recorded footage. I believe this is smoke gas. I don't think it's CS gas, considering everybody's standing there and not running, holding their face. Got a little spicy, you know. This is sort of spicy, but I mean, it's not Portland stuff, not like we used to see. But as I said, if this stuff continues to happen, we will cover it. I feel I've said enough on that. You guys probably get what I'm laying down, right? Hooligans, we're gonna go ahead and cover this article here. I'm gonna post this in the chat so you guys can read along with me. It's not as complex as the AI stuff we normally talk about, but I feel that everybody could probably relate to this in one way or another, and I'm sure I'll have a whole lot to rant about because I have personal experience as being a food delivery driver. So give me a second while I provide this link to you, hooligans. Alright, hooligans. Well, the link that I provided you guys should take you to this article. Jeez, I hope so. One of these days I'm gonna trick you guys. It's gonna send you somewhere hilarious, but not today. So this article is titled "No Tip, No Trip." DoorDasher shows piles of orders sitting on restaurant counter, says it's results of non-tipping customers. So this article's wrote a little messy. A lot of it is quoting people from TikTok, but we're gonna do the best we can to get through this. The article starts off by saying, amongst DoorDash drivers, there's a common saying, no tip, no trip. This means exactly what it sounds like. If a customer orders an item and does not tip, many DoorDash drivers will simply ignore that order as waiting for more profitable orders better serves in their interest. The article goes on to say, many users on TikTok have shared their alleged consequences of this mantra to viral success. One user claims a pile of orders without tips was sitting for 4 hours owing to the fact that no one wanted to deliver them. Another video showed a pile up of pickup McDonald's orders are also allegedly caused by a lack of tips. The article goes on to mention, it's quoting, what if they tip good but then the person brings you cold food? Or if they even steal the food? Asks a commenter. That's why people don't tip before. I always tip cash afterwards. The article wraps up by quoting a DoorDash user saying, we need to do away with the tip system and start holding these restaurant corporations responsible for living wages. Concluded an additional TikToker, this is so crazy. Now that's a short little bit. I've never had DoorDash or any of this stuff. I don't know much about it. But I used to work for Hungry Howie's and I used to work for Pizza Hut and I used to be a delivery driver. And we didn't have the option to opt out if there was no tip. And in a lot of cases, there was no prepaid tip. You know, they would say, oh, we'll give them cash when we get here. Now, a lot of people who have never been a delivery driver only see the receipt and make assumptions based off the receipt, right? So if you order Pizza Hut and you check the receipt and the receipt says that the delivery fee is $7 or $5, or God only knows what it is now, right? I haven't worked there in like 15 years, so it could be anything, especially with Biden inflation. But say it's $5. Now the average customer reads that and goes, well, you're already getting $5. Why would I give you anything else? Well, in reality, the driver doesn't get that $5. The store gets that $5. That $5 is supposed to be to pay for the driver insurance. So, you know, as a business, you have to have insurance for your services. Your service is to deliver food. And so you have to pay for the possible damages that driver could commit. You have to pay for driver insurance. That $5 generally is created as a way to pay for that insurance. The driver makes 50 cents out of that $5. I would have to drive 15, 20 miles one way for 50 cents. That's my pay. I mean, I would make $9 an hour or something like that, which was minimum wage. Generally, you make minimum wage, which is, you know, better than waitress pay in a lot of cases. But you would make that trip and make 50 cents off that delivery, and then, you know, you'd show up and they wouldn't tip you. You'd show up at a trailer park or an apartment complex or even mansions. You'd deliver to a mansion and they would write you a check for exact change, and the door's twice as tall as you are, right? They have a butler answer the door. I've been in lots of situations like that. And that's not that big of a deal. You know, of course, there's all kinds of argument. Well, at least you're making minimum wage, blah, blah. I make minimum wage and I don't get tips. I hit a deer one time and it destroyed the hood of my car and blew out my headlights and ruined my radiator. I was in a 93 Subaru, which is before they were four-wheel drive, which is like a neutered car. I didn't know it at the time. I was totally grateful to have that car. But it was hard to get parts for a car that old, and those cars aren't really sold in Michigan. I drove it up from Florida because my grandpa used to have a house down there and I'd go visit. So that happened. Boss looks at me and says, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I don't know. I didn't plan on hitting the deer. He said, you got until Friday to get a new car or else you're fired. And I said, well, how am I supposed to buy a new car off $9 an hour? He said, well, you better figure it out, or I don't have use for a driver that can't deliver food. Pizza is no different. They're all like that. So you could argue, well, yeah, you made minimum wage, so who cares if you make tips or not? Okay, well, you probably are not putting your own vehicle at risk at your job on a daily basis without really being reimbursed, on top of that, I used to get real bitter about waitresses. The waitress brings food from the kitchen to your table. You give her $5. I bring it from our kitchen to your living room and you pay me exact change. That used to make me so mad. Now, I'm over that at this point, doing better things, have a nicer life. But if I ever see drivers or anything and I order food, I hook them up. I feel so bad for drivers because they do not get treated right by companies. Now, to bring that back into context for this DoorDash, I'm not surprised that they won't bring you food if you don't tip them. I'm not surprised at all. Because from what I understand, these DoorDashers and stuff don't even make minimum wage. They're getting like waitress pay or waiter pay or whatever is the politically correct way of saying that. They're making that pay plus tips, and then if you don't tip them, well, why would they waste their vehicle on you? Why would they? That's just my opinion. Hopefully that doesn't rub everyone the wrong way. But when I came across this article, I was like, oh, I got feelings about this, so we should cover this. But either way. All right, Hooligans. Well, that's that. That's all I have for Coffee with Hooligans today. I actually have to get running a couple minutes late already, but that's okay. Armor, if you're watching after this, I'm going to the post office to pick up the packages you sent me. And anybody else that sent me stuff to the P.O. box, I'm going to pick that stuff up right now. Got some other stuff I got to do. But either way, I wanted to make sure we did Coffee with Hooligans. My apologies for not doing it Saturday. We had Trump rallies all day, and I had a charity thing I had to go to and all of that, and it was great. It was great, but I did feel bad we didn't get to do Coffee with Hooligans because I really like hanging out with you guys, and I like to be able to sit here and talk news with you guys. I love it. It's my jam, honestly. So I actually felt really bad, even though I was totally burned out and my brain was squirrely. I felt bad that we didn't get to do Coffee with Hooligans Saturday, so my apologies. But I'm going to do my spiel. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to wrap this up at 7 p.m. tonight. We're going to cover Old Man Walter looking like a total fool. He's supposed to be live at 2:45, which is in 7 minutes or something like that. As I said, I have somewhere to go. So we're going to cover it for a watch party, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Look for it. I hope to see all of you guys there. Let's do the spiel, then the pledge, and then we'll wrap this up. All right. I'm going to pull the page up. All right, Hooligans, when you get a second, please go to jeffmaclive.com. You can find the link in the description on any platform that you're currently watching on right now. If you go to the homepage, it has all of my links listed. You can find links to join Gilded. Gilded is free. It's currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live, no matter where we go live. You'll also receive notifications for important updates and anything going on that I feel you should know about. There's a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on, and there's a ton of hooligans to hang out with all day, every day, to chat about pretty much whatever you want to. So definitely join Gilded. Also on Jeff Mac Live's homepage, you can find the link to the merch store if you would like to grab merch. We have shirts, hoodies, we have pullover hoodies and zipper hoodies, as well as stickers. Everything is displayed in black and white, or white and black, but if you find something you like, click on that item to see all the colors that item comes in. Also on the Jeff Mac Live homepage, you can find links to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, and Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support what I do. There's also a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's really easy to use. Anything you purchase directly from the Amazon wish list will be sent directly to me. You don't have to worry about seeking an address or anything like that. It's really simple. And then finally, also on the Jeff Mac Live homepage, you can find links to the membership program if you would like to join one of those or any of those. There is a membership program for YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. So that's my spiel. Appreciate you guys for listening to me going on and on and on. Let's get ready for the pledge. All right, Hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That felt good. Don't say the pledge if you don't say it like you mean it. I'm just kidding. That's how I get down. I appreciate you, hooligans. Thank you for hanging out with me for another Coffee with Hooligans. I will see you guys at 7 p.m. Eastern time for a watch party. Like I said, we're going to cover Old Man Walter looking like a senile fool. Maybe we'll find some other cool stuff. I forgot to mention Canada's doing a 1-year anniversary to their Freedom Convoy. We covered that very extensively last year. And that moved right into the convoy we had here that we covered for a very long time, pretty much in, beyond where we covered it. It got to the point where people weren't even watching anymore. But either way, they're doing their anniversary, and I think it's good for morale to have some happy Canadian hooligans on the screen, appreciating freedom and stuff, doing their dance parties and all that stuff they do over there in Canada. So we may be showing some of that later as well. So stay tuned. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'll see you in Gilded. Yeah. So big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I appreciate all of you, and I would not be able to do this without you. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.